Hello and welcome to the 2022 version of the Borcherding Index, the most comprehensive, unnecessary, and overly complicated fantasy football rating system known to mankind. So I want to let you know what has changed since the 2021 edition. I made some changes during the season and over the summer, and to kind of remind you how the rating works and what things you can find here in this document. So to start off, the index rating works like this. It's based out of 100, so it's 100 times, and then 40% of the score comes from how many wins your team has per game. All of these are per game, plus 30% for what's called the domination factor, which I'll explain momentarily, plus another 30% for the strength of score, which is another thing I will explain soon as well. That is all compiled per week, and each week you have your current updated rating for the Borcherding Index, and that is put over here and is ranked from top to bottom. So right now, Wild West Bandits has the highest rating at 75.5, and the lowest rating is Big Dave and the Dream Girls at 10.5. So that's the basic overview of what's going on. So let's talk about some changes as well as to explain the matrix itself. So let's explain each of the things. So the first one is the wins, which is very simple. Each week, the team is given either a win or a loss as a 1 or a 0. Ties are put in as 0.5. And that is made a total and then done per game. Okay. The second thing is the domination factor. Domination factor is how many teams you would have beat each week. So a score of 19 means you beat all 19 teams that week. Score of 0 means you beat no other team besides yourself that week. So nobody. That is averaged out and then done per game. And a last 4 is done for that one as well. You can see that's also done for wins. The last one is the strength of score. Strength of score is your points scored plus your opponent's points scored against you. So it's a way of taking strength of schedule into account, as well as also accounting for how well your team is performing in those games. So a score of 9 means you and your opponent score the most number of points that week. Score of 0 means you and your opponent score the fewest number of points per week. That is added up and averaged and taken per game, as well as a last 4. Those things are all combined together to give you your rating index for the week. Some other things to just point out and take note of. So the changes that are made are the last 4, as I've been talking about it a little bit here. I'm going to wait and unveil that more fully week 11. Once we have a big chunk of the season done and we just have the last couple of weeks left. That'll give us a good time to introduce some recency bias so that we can figure out which are the hot teams and which teams are the cold teams. As you all know, generally you want to be hot going into the playoffs, so it'll give you a good idea how your team is performing. Another change is the volatility rating. So the volatility rating helps you figure out how your team scores from week to week. Teams with high volatility ratings tend to score a lot or a little, so they have high ceilings but low floors. Teams that have small volatility ratings are more consistent and therefore have high floors but low ceilings. So a team that has a very high volatility rating, like the Barnyard Pigskins, can score 128.7 one week and then 77 another week. And here's a 111 and a 71.8. So a lot of fluctuation. Teams that are more consistent, like Team Faulkner, tend to be more the same from week to week. So 79.9, 75.9, 86, 75, 82, very consistent across the board. Okay, so that's something that's new. The last 4 is also new. Some things that you might find useful in the data, you can find what your points per game are, so how many points your team scores on average from week to week. So you can figure out which teams score the most and which teams tend to score the least. You can also use that to figure out why your rating is what it is. So teams that score a lot are going to rank higher, but if they have few points scored against them, that will lower their rating. So that's the other thing in here that you can find, how many points are scored against you. So while the Wild West Bandits are 5-0 and they have the best record in the league and they tend to score above average per game, they have very, very few points scored against them. In fact, the lowest in the league. So part of the reason the index believes that they are doing well is because teams against them are not playing very well or are not very good to begin with. So that should give you a little bit of an idea on what's going on with the index for this year. There may be some changes that go on over the course of the season, but this should be a pretty good overview on what's going forward. Hopefully you find that helpful and you can use it on your season. Best of luck to everybody and have a fun season.